Hate to see it botched? Here's the best bits, a Botching It Up podcast short clip.
I think another big thing as to why mainstream wrestling fans have a sort of skewed opinion of Japanese wrestling and Western wrestlers that come from Japan is we've been told many times now that somebody's doing great in Japan, man. They're like the best in the world. They're so good right now. You've had Matt Bloom, who became Tensai. You've had Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, people that apparently have gone over to Japan and completely renewed themselves and become some of the best in the world. They come back here and you don't really ever see what the hype was. And I'm not sure whether that's because Western companies don't use them properly or because what they had was special to a company in which they were not in their native land and therefore it was played off in a different way because they were the Westerners coming in. But it always seems like a disappointment when you finally hear the guy that was like blowing up in Japan and he comes back. There's always seems to be that thing. Even what we were talking about with Kenny, like, and him coming back to AEW and he was like a damp squib in comparison to his Japanese run. There's definitely something wrong there.
It's not even guys coming back. It's the Japanese guys as well. Look at Shinsuke. His entire run in WWE has fallen flat. It's nothing compared to... He was a megastar in New Japan. He was... I don't know how to explain it. If Okada is John Cena, Shinsuke was Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And then look at Kenta and NXT. He fell flat. It didn't work. When he left NXT, he went back to New Japan and he became the hottest thing almost immediately, overnight. On his first show he went there, he joined Bullet Club, and everyone that's a New Japan fan, or the Japanese fans, went absolutely crazy. And there's other examples as well. I mean, Asuka, for God's sake. She is maybe the best women's wrestler in the world, and it's taken WWE 4 years to realize the talent that she's got.
She's champion now, but last year or maybe the year before, you didn't see her on TV for about 9 months.
Exactly. And then Carl Anderson, for people that have only watched WWE, it is so hard to explain how important Carl Anderson was. He established the Bullet Club. Maybe one of the most famous factions in the world right now, not ever, right now. They probably sell the most merch right now. Almost every wrestling, at least indie wrestling fan in the world has one Bullet Club t-shirt. And that was him. He did that. And he was a big deal. He almost won the G1, and when he didn't win it, I can't remember who won it. I think it was against Okada. And that was a big deal. He was the big, badass American guy taking the company over. In WWE, he was a tag team wrestler. He just wasn't...
It wasn't even a tag team wrestler, mate. He was a fucking joke. When Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows came into WWE, I remember when they turned up because everybody was like, wow, that's Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And I said, why? What's special about them? They started dressing them up in fucking doctors' uniforms for a while.
Yeah.
Then they would lose matches on Superstars. I mean, even when they were given a position, they never really seemed to have much charisma about them. They never seemed to have much of it, which I'd heard them have for so long.
And then those two partnered up with AJ when AJ was the leader of the Bullet Club, and he went over there and he completely transformed himself from the guy in TNA, the baby-faced young guy, the guy we have now in WWE. That transformation happened in New Japan when he was with the Bullet Club.
And yet, when Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are teamed with AJ in WWE, it's my least favorite rendition of AJ in WWE. I spent the entirety of Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows' WWE career just watching them go away.
I think the best way for me to explain it would be, think if Shinsuke never went to NXT. He was so big in Japan, right? You pretend you heard murmurings of him. You knew his name, but you didn't know his work. You didn't really know who he was. That's what AJ would have been to the Japanese people.
Yeah.
So Shinsuke comes into WWE. On his first night, he just lays out John Cena, just murks John Cena. Next Raw, he has a match and wins the championship on that night. And then for the next several months, every time someone tries to win that championship off him, he either cheats, but not overly booked cheats, like simply cheats, or somebody does a small distraction, and he's always gets that one up for months and months and months and months and months. And John Cena is always looking like the fool. WrestleMania the next year, John Cena finally beats him. Finally beats that anti-American heel.
So
That's
basically, what you're telling me is Japan actually knows how to book outsiders.
yeah, basically. That's basically all the Bullet Club is. They're outsiders that are always cheating and they're always pushing the Japanese heroes down. If you like, it's like every Hulk Hogan story ever. Hulk Hogan's always, the American, and the anti-American internationals come in and push him down. That's basically what the Bullet Club is, but for modern day.
Yeah.
And it worked. I don't know when these guys come over to WWE, either, I don't know, they lose their spark maybe, like you said, because now they're on their home turf. It's not as exciting. But then the same could be said about Shinsuke. WWE dropped the ball on him. He's not exciting. Look at Finn Balor. I said earlier on this podcast, I'm so excited the direction Finn Balor's going in at the moment. He does the gun salute. He's so edgy. This is basically his New Japan character.
I think it'd be really interesting to hear about the next massive Westerner in Japan who's either completely changed their gimmick or has come up from out of nowhere and become like the hottest thing in the industry. And then to see how, because it's inevitable now AEW exists, these guys won't be going to WWE. It'd be very interesting to see how the next hottest thing, the next big thing is treated when he turns up in AEW eventually down the line.
Yeah, very true.
Anyway, that was a very long and very interesting diatribe.
I don't know. I feel like there's a layer of WWE that purposely tries to muddle all of this awesomeness that's elsewhere.
Like, share, and subscribe to keep it botched up, brother.